Welcome to GCCars. My name is Eric and this is the all-new 2022 Infiniti QX60 in the sensory trim, to be more precise. So that's one from the top, not quite the top trim. And yeah, first of all, of course, welcome Infiniti officially on the channel. We've had you before, but that was with the dealership. So this is officially with the manufacturer now. So hey there. And yeah, as always, we're going to take a look at the exterior, then we're going to take a look at the interior, then I'm going to drive it, then we're going to sum it all up in the final thoughts and see if you should spend your money on this QX60 or if you should maybe go somewhere else for some proper luxury. But if you're not liking this video, make sure to subscribe and hit the bell because that takes you 2 seconds. Other than that, it doesn't cost you anything. And you get content in your video and your feed every week. And I get to make more and even better free content the more subscriber I have. So win-win. Anyhow, let's start off with the exterior. I like how this looks. I really like how this QX60 looks. Obligatory disclaimer, I cleaned this like half an hour ago. It was clean, but winner, what do you do? First of all, let's start off with the front. Infiniti has great design. When we had the Q60 and the QX50 in 2020, I already said I liked it. Same here, we got this in mineral black, which is really a suboptimal color for winter, but it looks good when it's clean. And I like the kind of like the sharp, slim headlights. We got the big grille chromed around. Looks very good. Looks very good. The wheels, I don't know, like by themselves, I think they're okay, but they work well with the car. My favorite aspect though is there's two ways you can make an SUV so that I like it. Big and boxy like an Escalade, or like this. Specifically, see how the greenhouse is the biggest, just right in front of the B pillar, and then shrinks as we go further back. Kind of reminds you a little bit of like an airplane wing, kind of. And reminds me a little bit of the Aviator, which I think is the most beautiful SUV on the road. Might be surpassed by the QX60 though, because the Aviator has a few years on its design. Looks really sharp. No, I genuinely really like how this looks. It looks awesome. And then we got kind of like these end trim pieces of like chrome, which kind of just hint at the D pillar. Nice. Back, here in the back, once again, just like in the front, it is very wide. The design just with the slim lights, it kind of widens the car visually and just makes it really good. It's clean design, not too many creases, not too many things. Once again, don't put an all-wheel drive badge on your, I know there's a version of this that has front-wheel drive. Don't put an all-wheel drive badge on your luxury car. Like, I think it kind of cheapens it, but it's probably selling, so whatever. Anyhow, TLDR, I really like how this looks. Genuinely, already a contender maybe for best design of the year. For like 2022 GCCars Awards, we'll see. Let's go on the inside though, because that's where the funny really starts. I gotta get rid of this coat first though. Okay, whew, this is a little cold. Okay, heated seats, heated steering wheel. Let's talk QX60 interior. First of all, we got the brown interior, which nice, good spec. Always love it when it's a little more interesting than just a plain black interior. And straighten this up. Let's talk about it. First of all, the layout is just the same like we had in the Pathfinder. Obviously, it's built on the same platform, built a lot of similarities in here, but it is significantly nicer. This is a very, very nice interior. Materials are great. Infiniti, just like I mentioned, the QX60, the Q60 and the QX50, there we go. Infiniti is great leathers, super soft, super rich feeling leathers. We have very, very nice wooden trim here. Looks great, just adds a great accent to it. Then we have more brown leathers down here. The Bose sound system, first of all, is good. And also, I love this speaker kind of integrated into this kind of this gap in the door, in the trim. It looks visually very nice and it feels just as nice. This is a very good and comfy space to be in. Speaking of comfy, these seats, very, very comfortable. Like I said, heated. They're also ventilated. We have memory seats, obviously. Very comfy, a lot of support, a lot of control. Got into this after the Buick and instantly was like, oh wow, these seats are great. So very, very nice. They have a massaging function. Not quite as advanced as, for example, in the 63 that we had, but still definitely nice to have function. And yeah, no, this is comfy. This is really comfy. There is a bit of a drawback though. Just like in the Pathfinder, this infotainment system is okay at best. It's a little slow sometimes. You will be in situations, most of the time it's okay, but you will be in situations where you're just waiting for something to happen and you're just like kind of waiting, especially if you start the car and it takes a while for it to kind of speed up. It's visually not really that pleasing, which is weird because the gauge cluster is actually pretty good. So this kind of like these tiles, it's like, could be a little better. Usability is decent though. Just if you want to switch the media, like the radio station, it took me forever to figure that out because I always kind of like swipe through, which is impossible. You will not be able to, if you're on the highway, like change the radio station using your touch controls. Impossible. Way too slow. You would need to take your eyes off the road for so long. You'd probably crash. Terrible. But down here, where the HVAC controls are, there's actually radio controls in here, so you can press that, and that works fine. So it took me just forever to discover that. So that's okay. Still, I wish this would be a lot faster. Speaking of HVAC controls down here, they are, first of all, they look pretty good, I think. Gloss black, of course, it's gonna be a little touch. It's gonna be like a point where kind of oil and grease from your skin and dust will collect, so you'll have to wipe that down occasionally. And it's really, it looks like it's capacitive touch, but you actually press the whole thing, reacts to it. So works well. I think it looks good. Works well. No complaints about that. Then we have digital gauge cluster, which is actually really responsive, which is funny. This screen is a lot better than that one. And then we have a lot of info on that. Works pretty well. We have two different layouts. I prefer the layout with the kind of like just a small tachometer and speedometer on the sides, more info in the middle. And then lastly, in terms of cameras, we have a bunch of cameras. We have front camera, we have rear camera, we have like this 360 top down, and then we have a camera in the right mirror to kind of look down. I haven't found a way to look at my left wheel, but we don't just have the right wheel. We don't have any rear wheel cameras, unfortunately. And the cameras are okay in terms of quality, but our digital rearview mirror is really good. Same as the Pathfinder. These cameras are for some reason really bad. This camera is really good. And thank you for including a digital rearview mirror, because that is such a great feature, which gives you so much visibility and safety. I like this. Tech isn't perfect, yes, but comfy, and it just looks stunning. Second row. Okay, second row. God. Canada gets really cold, guys. Oh. Yes, more of the same in terms of nice materials, nice and plush. Seating is good, it's comfy. If we have the sunroof open, which I don't have right now for lighting reasons, you have a great sun view, view of the sky, and of course integrated sunshades. This is comfy. We have some pouches, heated seats, both on the left and the right hand side. We have our own climate zones, so everything you really need is right here. And then also in terms of room right now, plenty of room. This is a little further back than I normally sit, but we can go backwards, we can go forward quite a bit, then we can recline. Where is here on the left side? We can recline. So first of all, it's the most upright position if you for some reason need like maximum storage right now, or you can go super deep and just lay back a little. This is nice. You will be very, very comfy as a second row passenger. And we of course also have USB-C, we have regular USB, we have a household style outlet. This is good. No, this is comfy. I like this. Very, very nice interior space, both front and back. Third row, briefly just going to touch upon that. If you want to have a bit of more breakdown of that, watch my Pathfinder video, put it in the top right hand corner. It's pretty much the same as in the Pathfinder, but materials are slightly nicer. Most of the materials on the side are still the same, so we have a lot of plastic back there. And space-wise, it is definitely, it's still a mid-size SUV, so you won't be like, it's not like a Tahoe where there's like plenty of space for adults in the back, but it's certainly doable. It's better than most other mid-size SUVs. I generally liked it. If you need a third row occasionally, this will definitely do. Okay, that concludes this part of the interior. We're gonna real quickly take a look at the trunk, and then we go driving. Hey there, post-production Eric here. I hope you're liking the video so far. Unfortunately, right when I was shooting that scene, my microphone broke. But no worries, in the scenes afterwards, I figured out how to work around that. I'm just going to tell you about the trunk real quick here. So, the trunk space is overall decent. It's not like amazing, but also not bad. So you've got plenty of storage even behind the third row here. But really the coolest thing about it is, which will be very useful if you use the third row quite a bit, you can raise the third row electronically just with a button in the back. So that's pretty convenient. Other than that, what's the trunk? So, yeah. Let's go driving. How about that? Okay, now on the road here in the 2022 Infiniti QX60. And as always, we start off with the launch. So we shall put it into sport, turn off traction control, sport. Nope, that's no. Used that plenty this time around too. And then we turn off auto stop, and we'll go for a little launch. And brake torque only rests about 1800 RPM. There we go. High. Okay, second, third. All right. And brake her back down, not too quickly because we don't want to wreck all my equipment in the back. Yeah, so we do have a naturally aspirated 3.5 liter V6 made it to a 9-speed automatic transmission, and that V6 produces 290 horsepower and 270 pound-feet of torque, which is plenty on the data sheet. And in reality, driving it here practically, I think it is enough. I wouldn't really say it's fast. It's definitely it's quick-ish. If you come maybe from like a turbocharged SUV, that this feels a little different. It's not slow by any means. You still have plenty of power for all demands and everything you need to do. So don't worry about it. I don't think we live in a world where 300 horsepower is not, almost 300 horsepower is not enough. But let's talk about the, actually let's quickly stick to the engine, because you might have heard that it isn't the quietest engine. If you rev it out, it definitely makes its presence known. It'll roar to life a little bit. And it's not bad. It's not terrible at any point, but due to it being naturally aspirated, you need to rev it a little higher, so you will hear the engine here a little more than some other cars maybe. But it's transmission. As always, we do a little test ride. So 50 kilometers an hour, and we're going to floor it and see what happens. There we go. That was a pretty decent downshift. And yeah, like I said, the engine is pretty loud. But it doesn't sound bad. It's a V6, so it's not like too coarse sounding or anything. But if you need power, you will hear it and you'll feel it. But transmission itself, I'm pretty happy with it. Occasionally, like highway speeds, it can be a little unsure what to do when you just, you accelerate a little bit, or you need to speed up just a tiny bit. Sometimes it's a bit confused about what it needs to do. But after all, just give it a little more gas, and eventually it's like, okay, you want to downshift, so it goes. It is fine. We can also shift ourselves if we just put this down. So shifting ourselves, we are in 5th, 4th, 3rd, 2nd, 3rd, 4th. Reacts pretty quickly, actually. I don't think you ever need to shift this by yourself, but if you need to, if you want to, certainly does it pretty well. But let's turn left onto the suspension test road. Let's see how it does. Worse is still to come. Although they fixed a lot of potholes, I see. But here we go. Yep. And there we go. But it's comfy. It's comfy. Honestly, I like it. You guys are probably a little blind right now. I'm sorry. It's just filming in winter is always a little bit of a thing. Let me just place myself a little awkwardly, but in front so you into my shadow. Hi. Hope you can still see me. Anyhow, yeah, suspension, I'm actually pretty happy with it. It isolates all the jarring bumps. You still feel some stuff coming through, some vibrations obviously, but overall really it's not bad. And I especially like how it performs on the highway, because on the highway it has a nice balance between control and kind of like being reactive to what you're doing, and on the other hand still being very comfy. This is a great highway cruiser. If you drive a lot on the highway, if you drive long distances often, this is going to be really comfy. I drove it on the highway a bit yesterday, and no, that was actually very nice. The traffic was flowing very well that specific night, so I got to cruise a bit, and it was, this is a nice balance, because sometimes some other SUVs are, they may be a little too stiff, so you have a lot of control, but you don't really you feel like you're floating along on the highway. And some others, on the other hand, are just kind of like very floaty, but on the other hand, you don't really feel like your SUV is gonna react that quickly if you need to give it some inputs. This strikes a nice balance, which I really like. And on city streets, I found it to be very, very comfy pretty much at all times, and especially for the price. I'm very happy with that. I'm very happy with that indeed. We need to talk a little bit about noise. It is not the quietest luxury SUV out there, that's a fact, but it's also not bad. Don't get me wrong, like if you get into this, there was at no point where I was like, this is a little too loud, or I wish it could be a bit quieter here. Never had that feeling. Just, when I think about it, I know there were some others that are just a little quieter. But as you can see here, transmission, engine work really well. I like the transmission. Not the quickest shifting, I like the process of shifting itself, which you saw during the launch, but it's very smooth. Very smooth shifting, and you really only know that it's shifting because you can hear the engine a little. I like it. But this already brings us to, God, I hate winter. Sorry, just had to say that, because the roads are just gross, and the car is gonna be gross, and all the salt that's flying against the underbody. It's just like, no. Anyhow, tech. We want to talk about tech. We already talked about the cameras being kind of like a mixed bag. The cameras that we use to park are kind of subpar, while the camera we can use as a digital rearview mirror is really good. Then we also have some other assist systems. So we have like the basic suite that we have nowadays in almost all cars, right? Like lane keep assist, which works pretty well. We have our automatic emergency braking, blind spot monitoring, blind spot assist. So if you were to try to turn into a lane with another car, so it would assist and kind of steer you back and kind of grab the steering for an emergency, which is really good. And then we also have an active lane centering assist. Let's just give a bit of gas here too. See how it does, go corner. Good. But that's what I mean with the noise. If you rev it out, you'll definitely hear it. Not quite as luxurious sounding maybe as some other cars, but it's really not an issue. Like you don't drive this like that often, and if you do, you just know you're gonna hear the engine for a few seconds, whatever. But we have a lane centering assist, which is okay. It is definitely still a nice feature to have. It's not the most advanced out there. There's definitely better ones in some other luxury car makers, and I would still say like the for budget. It's not a budget vehicle by any means, but like let's say for anything sub 80 grand, Hyundai Kia Genesis still have the best one so far. But this one kind of tends to veer off a tiny bit too far to the left sometimes, or on long turns. You'll see it be a little unsure. So instead of just kind of like smoothly cruising through the turn, it'll just constantly, just go a little left, go a little right, go a little left, just to correct itself because it's not quite sure where to go. It still works pretty well. Like I said, it's one of these systems I always prefer to have them than not have them, but it's not good enough for me to really use it. The only ones I've really used so far have been Mercedes, Volvo, and Hyundai Kia Genesis systems. This one is good. On long drives, would definitely use it. On shorter drives that I do most of the time, where I'm just on the highway for maybe like 20 minutes, I just kind of drive it myself, which, like I said, where it drives pretty well. But thank you very much for giving me room to turn right. What an attentive driver. That is very nice. But yeah, that pretty much already concludes the driving segment. Generally, I like how it drives. I very much like how it drives. It's a very comfy cruiser for that, especially highway. On the highway, it really stood out to me as being super, super comfy. The steering, I forgot to talk about the steering. The steering is absolutely dead numb, but you kind of expect that in a luxury SUV these days. And but it's comfy. It's good, very well weighted. It's not too light, not too heavy. You feel like you have a good control of what the car is doing. And I wasn't able to do any handling tests, unfortunately, because it's constantly like way below freezing, and then we still have wet roads. So even if I dare to push this, there's a chance that I encounter ice and I end up in a guardrail, and I don't want to do that. So unfortunately, no handling test this time around. But it felt very solid from what I was from regular driving. Anyhow, I absolutely get flashed here. I'm sorry. Winter filming is just rough, but it's getting better. We're through the worst part, so maybe like a week or two, and then this shouldn't be an issue anymore. Let's go to the final thoughts, shall we? Okay, final thoughts on the 2022 Infiniti QX60 Sensory. Excuse me holding my audio equipment awkwardly, but it's doing some shenanigans, so I have to like make sure that everything works. Anyhow, yeah, let's just quickly, first of all, price. Aspect, it costs $67,840 Canadian. Your USL price is somewhere on your screen right now, and honestly, that's a pretty good value. I think that's a decent value for what you get in here. Summing up, first of all, I think it looks fantastic. The interior is pretty nice and feels good. It drives decent. On the highway, I really like it. In the city, it's still okay and good. So definitely nothing where it didn't disappoint in any area except for tech, admittedly. If you want to have like the latest tech, there are competitors who do that way better. The Infiniti is better if you need a car or want a luxury car that is very comfy on the inside, it looks good and it drives very well. This is great. If you want tech, maybe go with the competitor. Speaking of competitors though, I don't have the biggest reference frame at the moment, but this will change this year, no worries. More reviews to come. I only have one I can compare to right now, another midsize luxury SUV, and that is the Mercedes Benz GLE we've had last year. That was the GLE 350, and it had a bunch of options, still missing some features that this QX60 has, and it was $13,000 more, roughly, at about $80,000 Canadian. And I'll be honest, I don't see a world where I would choose that GLE over the QX60. The QX60, in my humble opinion, looks way better. The QX60 has at least an interior that's at least has an interior that's at least on par, if not better than the one in the Mercedes. Definitely has a better interior quality. That's no doubt. It won't drive quite as nice, to be fair, but the engine is not as buzzy as it was in the GLE, and the tech will be a little better in the GLE. But it was missing some of the features that this one has. So like I said, you need to spec even more. So let's say $15,000, $16,000 for a comparably spec'd GLE. So you don't miss any features compared to this QX60. And it's just not worth it. It's just not worth it. At 67 grand, that's a fantastic value for the QX60. You're getting a lot of car for that. And yeah, I really liked it. Great job. Great job, Infiniti. Anyhow, like I said, more reviews to come. Like I said, sorry for standing here awkwardly. That kind of limits the motions I can do right now. But if you like the video, make sure to subscribe and hit the bell, because we upload videos every single week and we review everything from budget cars to luxury cars, sports cars, trucks, everything in between. And yeah, I hope you liked it. I hope I'll see you in the next one, and thank you and goodbye.